Greetings and welcome to Hexed Encountered. I'm Joe. In this video, we will be taking a first look at the game Carrier Battle Group Solitaire. This is the deluxe edition of a game that originally appeared in one of the Modern War magazines, the now defunct Modern War magazines from Decision Games. And the design is by Joseph Miranda. So this is a modern, 1980s kind of alternate history game. So we'll take a look at the back here. You get a good look at the components, and you can see some of the counters here. It's a solitaire game, as the title would indicate. Playing time 1.5 to 3 hours. Map scale 60 nautical miles. And turn scale is one game turn is 12 hours. Unit scale, air is one squadron, ship, one ship, and missiles are in groups. Complexity is medium, and solitaire, of course, is full. So as I mentioned, this is from Decision Games. Just came out. I just received my copy not too long ago. So I'm going to do a first look, and then this will slot in as one of our Solitaire Sunday games, most likely. So here we go, Carrier Battle Group Solitaire. You are in command of a U.S. Navy carrier task force in the North Atlantic, operating against the Soviet fleet during the 1980s at the height of the Cold War. As the commander of a carrier task force, you must complete various objectives in the North Sea, facing Soviet naval and air opposition. As the Cold War goes hot, you may be called upon to secure the Denmark Straits, support a special operations force in the Arctic, attack a Soviet naval base in Murmansk, escort reinforcements to NATO's northern flank in Norway, conduct a joint amphibious landing behind Warsaw Pact lines in the Baltic, provide air support over the Central Front in West Germany, even hunt for a rogue Soviet nuclear ballistic missile submarine. So you can see there's a lot of possible scenarios in here. So this is a solitaire game where the player contests against the game system, fulfilling scenario objectives, randomly generated by a mission orders chit pull. You must manage your U.S. Navy Nimitz-class carrier, its air group, and your escorts while encountering Soviet warships, aircraft, and missiles controlled by the game system. Carrier Battle Group Deluxe Edition updates the game first appearing in Modern War number 14, offering new map and counter artwork, a mounted game board, updated rules, new player aid cards, and a campaign analysis article. Can you successfully command your carrier battle group against numerous threats in the North Atlantic, helping NATO to victory in the war that never was? There is one way to find out. Play Carrier Battle Group. Now let's take a look inside the box. Okay, here's our open box. We've got 2d6, a couple of baggies. Then we have our instructions. So we have our credits over here, your table of contents, some optional rules, and then your historical article will start on page 18. So basically core rules run through page 14 basically, and then you have your optionals and your example of combat, and then the article. So intro here, basically summarizing kind of what was on the back of the box, basically. General course of play. Then you have your scale, important definitions. There's a bunch of these. I won't go through all of them, but they will be what you would see on counters and so on. Most of them will be probably kind of obvious. I shouldn't say most. A lot of them, I guess, maybe would be a better way to say it. You know, if you see a CV, most people know that is an aircraft carrier. CVN would be a nuclear aircraft carrier. Components, so you get a list of the components in here. You've got an operational map, a terrain key, ship display, CIC. These are things on the game map, by the way. The CAG for the air group, carrier air group, flight deck, hangar, air defense, propulsion, electronic warfare, hull integrity, crew, CVBG, fuel. So this is for the fuel capacity for the non-carrier units in the Carrier Battle Group. Fuel is important for non-nuclear ships. Nuclear fuel lasts a very long time. Then you have ammunition for the same, logistics and victory points, miscellaneous displays. Our combat units here, we have a sample of a ship unit. We'll take a closer look. You can see you've got your anti-air at the top, anti-surface at the top in the middle, anti-sub top right, anti-air top left. This is an Aegis cruiser, Aegis-equipped cruiser from the U.S. Navy. We've got an electronic warfare rating on the bottom left, defense in the middle, and speed bottom right. All three of these types of units, that would be warships, standoff weapons, and coastal defense units, per the rules down at the bottom here. They have type, name, type, class, or name, and then the things we just talked about. So sample unit readout, you can see here you've got like cones for detection, I'm assuming. And then you also have missile capable, nuclear, etc., etc. All right, so ship units, we've got aircraft carriers, as you might expect, submarines, other warships, nuclear propulsion. Certain units have a yellow and black symbol indicating that they use nuclear propulsion. Sorry, Aegis. Certain U.S. Navy cruisers have the word Aegis on them, indicating they are equipped with the Aegis radar and computer system. Designer note, Soviet aircraft carriers were, during this era, extremely limited in their ability to project air power. They were only equipped with V-STOL jets and helicopters for anti-submarine operations. In fact, the Soviet Kiev-class nuclear aircraft carrier, was less effective than a World War II escort carrier in terms of its air complement. They are depicted in the game like other warships, except with a complement of aircraft of their own. You have standoff units, such as air units, cruise missiles, and coastal defense units. Markers, various types of crew. Miscellaneous markers, incident chits. These represent various events you will run into during your mission. There are several types of incidents explained more thoroughly on the incident table. They have their revealed side on the front and unrevealed on the reverse. Player aid cards, 3 double-sided 8.5 by 11-inch player aid cards, which we'll see shortly. Setup, initial deployment. Determine your scenario orders. So you're going to shuffle all your mission order markers face down. Then draw one at random, look at it, and place it face up in your scenario orders box. Then you remove the rest from play. Do not mix them in with the incident chits. The mission orders table provides mission objectives and other information that is used during setup and throughout the game. And you have other things here. Game turn length. Place the Soviet alert level marker. Place Soviet forces. Soviet coastal defense. Set up your carrier. And then you have carrier system values, and you're going to roll for the CIC and CAG leadership. And then you've got determine your force, your escorts. So you'll have your 1d6 on the U.S. Navy escort selection table. This will give you additional warships. You can choose which ships from each individual type. Cruisers, destroyers, and frigates. Select your aircraft, crew, missiles, and cargo. Begin play of the game. And here's our sequence of play. The intelligence phase. You may attempt 1 intelligence action per Rule 11. We'll see that in a little bit. Logistics phase, you may attempt to do any or all of the following: repair damage, replenishment, trade, cargo. You can switch cargo markers between ships in the same space, assuming they are of the type which can carry cargoes. Okay. U.S. Navy ship movement phase, incident phase, U.S. Navy launch phase. You can launch any standoff weapons such as aircraft or cruise missiles from your carrier battle group or bases, moving them to a target space. Combat phase, objective phase, U.S. Navy recovery phase, and end of turn. Soviet alert level, your aircraft carrier battle group consists of initially consists of 1 Nimitz class carrier plus the ship's aircraft, etc. per setup 4.0 back there. The CVBG marker is used to keep track of the location of your task force while it's on the map. Generally, you must keep all ships in your battle group together during the mission, although some optional rules allow for specific exceptions. Note, a second aircraft carrier representing the USS Forrestal, which operated with the Nimitz in the 80s, and its associated battle group are included as an optional rule. Outfitting your task force. Let's see. You are provided with specific value of LPs, which may be spent like currency to purchase cargo during initial setup. LPs unspent after setup are retained and may thereafter be used during any logistics phase. So you can buy things here. And you can have no more than one of each of the 7 types of crew and no more than 6 crew markers total. Cargo types, and then there's a list of these here. So things like cruise missiles, aircraft, both carrier and land-based, and crew, electronic warfare enhancements, defensive weapons, fuel, and ammo for your battle group. Replenishment during the logistics phase. Then you have repair, and that's procedure. Intel, as we saw in the sequence of play. Ship movement, you've got the procedure, the speed of the ships, effects of damage on speed, types of spaces, sea spaces, checkpoints, NATO bases, objectives, Soviet bases, and space with an SBG, that's a Soviet battle group, I believe. You can enter these, but must stop there. Then in the subsequent combat phase, engage in combat against that SPG if contact occurs. Out of lane, you may move via routes which are not part of your mission orders. However, the incident markers can provide sanctions for doing this. And we have Soviet ship movement, stacking rules, basing capacity with cruise missiles, incident phase, revealing Soviet ships, contact, Soviet tactical edge. If the Soviets have the tactical edge, combat must be initiated. There is no Soviet breakoff. Designer note, Soviet naval doctrine was to attack aggressively in order to maximize damage to NATO naval forces. Launching U.S. Navy standoff attacks, the procedure, recovery, tactical routine. There's a whole list of stuff in here for that. You can see, whoops, it goes kind of pretty far. Fruits of victory after the battle, one tactical routine, ammunition, firing in enemy units, what can fire at what, firing categories, how to fire, U.S. Navy units firing on Soviet units. And over here, we've got Soviet units firing on U.S. units, fire execution, fire outcomes, hits, the effects upon carriers, damage, explosion, crippled, eliminated, withdraw, amphibious operations. How do you win the game? You've got automatic defeat, victory points, victory point defeat. Hunt for the Typhoon, rogue submarine scenario. So that has a special setup and rule winning conditions. Then we have our optional rules for Top Guns, U.S. Navy replenishment ships, AOs, additional U.S. Navy factors, multiple targeting procedure, AWACS coordination, Shrike attacks, long-range recon, recovery of damaged aircraft, movement of damaged Navy ships, additional Soviet factors, Soviet Tu-126 AWACS, improved Soviet tactical edge. Since no one really knows how well the two sides' forces would have performed in an actual battle, if you feel the U.S. Navy too easily obtains tactical edge, you may feel free to handicap them on the contact table. EW advantage in combat. How do you can play it multiplayer apparently. Second U.S. carrier, the aforementioned USS Forrestal, and then its information here. We've got a U.S. Navy Iowa-class battleship. An Iowa-class missile-armed battleship, BBG, is provided in the countermix. If the BBG is part of a CVBG, it must expend 2 fuel points to go to maximum speed. Hits, treat any cripple result as just 2 points of damage against the BBG. Soviet response, if you use your battleship and during initial setup, raise the Soviet starting alert level by 1 and place 1 additional starting unit in each Soviet battle group. Then we have a campaign game. And then we have our example of combat, which I may do as a separate video here. And then we have the article. This article originally appeared in Modern War number 14, maps by Joe Youst. The article is by Carl O. Schuster. Here's the map. Various bases and so on. Okay. Admiral Zumwalt. The Northern Seas, the GIUK Gap. Another ocean map. Some cool pictures and maps. Gulf War. 1980s carrier battle groups. That's the Reagan, and the one in the back is the Kitty Hawk. And then you got Carrier Air Wings, typical air wing compositions by Carrier class. F-14s, A-7s, A-6s, KA-6s, which are tankers. The EA-6B, which is the EW. The S-3A, anti-sub. E-2C, AWACS, SH-9 helicopter, anti-submarine. And the EA-3, signal intelligence, electronic intelligence. Pretty cool. And then the warships. So take a little bit closer look at that. You can see the various warships that are in the game on both sides. That is our rule book. Here are the player aids. So you have a mission orders table. And on the other side, we have various tables as well. So you've got a Soviet initial alert level table, a whole bunch of other tables, including an intelligence table, and the Forrestal's system values. These are the Nimitz, and these are the Forrestal. Then we have our cargo table on this one. Cargo table and repair table on the bottom. The other side, the incident marker effects table. Look at that real quick. Then we have our contact table and our CAD table here, hit table. And on this side, your sequence of play, your victory point table for both sides, I think. Yeah. So you can see that. Then we have our counters. One counter sheet, keeping in mind this was a magazine game. So you can see the ships here. You've got the Nimitz and the Forrestal, various cruisers, destroyers, some submarines, frigates. There's the Iowa class BBG right there, BBG-1. Submarines. Then we got the various aircraft. Pretty cool graphics, in my opinion. Very nice. Game turn markers, various markers for fuel and so on. Marines, SEALs, Top Gun, Crippled, special ops support, damage levels. And of course, we've got Soviet forces up here. Soviet alert level, and then there's the Soviet ships, cruisers, light carrier, some the ballistic missile sub, some regular guided SSGN, nuclear guided missile submarines. Got some aircraft, some missiles, etc., etc. Double-sided, of course. As you can see. All right. And then, last but certainly not least, is the map. So let me unfold this. Okay, so here we have a look at the map. I've kind of widened out pretty much as I can without changing the camera setup. So, of course, you've got the GI-UK gap. We got the United Kingdom down here. Here's Iceland and Greenland, of course. There's the Denmark Strait. We've got Greenland Sea Transit, Barents Sea, Arctic up here. The Shetlands, the Faroes. Here's the Aegis display. You've got various displays. You've got missions completed up here, the Soviet alert level, scenario orders, the various bases. We've got Norway, as you'd expect. Here's the Soviet Union with Murmansk. Soviet deployment table. Here's our turn record track. Down here we have a logistics and victory points track. Over here we've got boxes for the carrier battle groups, our terrain key, and then the ship displays for the various ships. You've got leadership for the CIC, for the carrier air group, flight deck, hangar, air defense, propulsion, electronic warfare, hull integrity, crew. The carrier battle group fuel and ammunition tracks are in the bottom corner here. So this is the map. It's nice. It's mounted. Always like a mounted map. I think they're worth the extra cost that it takes to get them. Not everybody feels the same way, But because I do games for video, having a mounted map is very nice, because then I don't have to put anything on top of it to hold it down, which causes glare from the lights and the camera, and you get the picture. Anyway, this is the map for Carrier Battle Group Solitaire Deluxe Edition. The map was done by Todd Davis for the Deluxe Edition. The original map was done by Joe Youst. And again, this game was designed by Joseph Miranda and is from Decision Games. So that's going to do it. If you have any questions or comments, you know where to put them in the comment section. I'll do my best to respond in a timely fashion. I would like to ask you to consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing. Shameless plug. It helps my channel grow, spreads the word, etc., etc. If you're already a subscriber, thank you for your support. Even if you decide not to do any of those things, I hope you enjoyed the video and may come back and check out a future offering here on Hexed and Countered. But that's it for now. Until next time, I am Joe, and this is the Hexed and Countered channel. Happy gaming.